Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're counting down the top 2 5-cent Jefferson nickel coins every collector should know about. Some of these nickels can be worth a lot more than 5 cents, so let's get started. First up, the 5-cent Jefferson coin dated 1963, struck without a mint mark and surviving today in circulated color condition, is a small object with an unexpectedly large story to tell. At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary nickel, the kind easily overlooked in a pile of loose change, but this coin carries the weight of an entire era. It comes from a year filled with transition, emotion, and movement in American history, and every softened edge and muted tone on its surface reflects a life spent in real circulation. On the obverse, the thoughtful profile of Thomas Jefferson looks calmly to the side, as if observing the passage of time itself. His image was chosen for the 5-cent coin to represent intellect, independence, and the foundation of American ideals. In circulated condition, the sharpness of Jefferson's hair and facial features has gently faded, but rather than diminishing the design, this wear adds depth and humanity, making the portrait feel warm and lived in. The lack of a mint mark on a 1963 Jefferson nickel is not an omission, but a meaningful detail. This tells us the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not place mint marks on 5-cent coins. Philadelphia-produced nickels were made in enormous numbers to meet daily demand, and this coin was intended to circulate widely, fulfilling its role quietly and reliably. The color of a circulated 1963 nickel is one of its most honest and attractive qualities. Instead of bright luster, the coin often shows soft gray tones with darker shading in recessed areas. These colors develop naturally through decades of handling, air exposure, and friction, giving the coin a patina that reflects time rather than artificial preservation. Turning the coin over reveals Monticello, Jefferson's historic home, along with the inscription Pluribus Unum. In circulated examples, the steps of Monticello are usually the first area to show wear, sometimes blending together, yet the building remains recognizable and dignified. This wear is a visual reminder that the coin was actively used, not hidden away. The year 1963 stands out in American memory as a moment of national reflection and change. Coins from this year passed through hands during everyday routines while larger historical events unfolded in the background. This nickel quietly participated in daily life while history was being written. A circulated 1963 Jefferson nickel may have traveled far, moving from city to city, store to store, pocket to pocket. It may have been used to buy candy, newspapers, or bus fare, each transaction leaving behind microscopic traces that together form its story. The smooth edge of the nickel adds another sensory layer to its appeal. In circulated condition, the edge often feels softened, worn by years of contact with other coins and fabric. Holding it creates a physical connection to the past that feels immediate and real. The copper-nickel composition of the 1963 5-cent coin was designed for strength and endurance. This alloy allowed the coin to withstand heavy circulation, and over time it developed texture and character instead of fragility. The metal tells its own story through subtle changes in tone and surface. For new collectors, a circulated 1963 Jefferson nickel is an excellent learning coin. It offers insight into how wear appears on different design elements, how mint marks, or the absence of them, matter, and how surface color evolves naturally over time. Experienced collectors often find that circulated nickels from this period have a special charm. Finding an example with balanced wear, smooth surfaces, and pleasing color can be just as satisfying as acquiring a higher-grade coin. There is a strong emotional connection tied to coins from the early 1960s. For many people, this era is associated with family stories, childhood memories, and a sense of shared national experience. A 1963 nickel can feel like a tangible link to those memories. Despite decades of circulation, the craftsmanship of the coin remains visible. The lettering is still readable, the portrait retains its proportions, and Monticello's structure remains clear. This speaks to the quality of the original design and engraving. Light interacts beautifully with the circulated nickel. Straight-on light reveals its smoothness, while angled light highlights fine scratches, wear lines, and tonal variation. This changing appearance makes the coin endlessly interesting to study. Circulated coins like this one challenge the idea that value only exists in perfection. The 1963 Jefferson nickel shows that wear can enhance storytelling, turning a common coin into a visual record of use and time. The size and weight of the nickel contribute to its familiar feel. It is modest yet solid, reflecting its role as a dependable unit of everyday exchange during its time in circulation. Within the Jefferson nickel series, the 1963 issue represents continuity during a period of national uncertainty. While society was changing, the design of the coin remained steady, offering familiarity in daily transactions. Collectors who appreciate circulated coins often say they feel more alive than pristine examples. This nickel embodies that idea, carrying visible proof that it was needed and used. Natural toning often appears unevenly on nickels from this era, creating unique patterns around lettering and design elements. These patterns are impossible to duplicate, making each coin truly one of a kind. Even the sound of a nickel, when gently tapped, can spark nostalgia. That soft metallic tone recalls coin jars, old vending machines, and simple purchases. For a YouTube audience, this coin is powerful because it is relatable. Almost everyone has held a nickel, and that shared experience makes the story immediately accessible. The true value of the 1963 Jefferson 5-cent coin lies not in rarity, but in authenticity. It did exactly what it was meant to do, circulating faithfully through everyday life. Every smooth patch and scratch on the coin is evidence of purpose. This nickel worked quietly, supporting countless small transactions that shaped daily routines. Holding this coin feels like holding a piece of ordinary history. It reminds us that history is built not only by major events, but by millions of small, repeated actions. In today's increasingly cashless world, a circulated 1963 nickel feels especially meaningful. It represents a time when money was physical, tangible, and personal. The longer you examine the coin, the more it reveals. Its story unfolds slowly through texture, color, and wear, rewarding patience and attention. It does not demand admiration through shine or rarity. Instead, it earns respect through endurance and honesty. This coin has lived a real life, moving through real hands and real moments rather than being preserved in isolation. Next up, the 5-cent Jefferson coin, dated 1985, struck without a mint mark and seen today in natural circulated color condition, is a powerful reminder that even the smallest denominations can carry enormous stories. At first glance, this coin feels familiar, almost invisible, the kind of nickel most people would never stop to examine. Yet the moment you slow down and truly look at it, the 1959 Jefferson nickel begins to speak, revealing a narrative shaped by everyday life, national confidence, and the quiet rhythm of a changing America. The obverse of the coin presents the composed and intellectual profile of Thomas Jefferson, a figure whose presence on the 5-cent coin symbolizes thought, independence, and the foundations of democracy. In circulated condition, Jefferson's features are no longer sharp and new, but gently softened by time. The hair, cheek, and jawline show smooth where that gives the portrait a sense of realism, as if the coin itself has matured alongside the country it served. The absence of a mint mark on a 1959 Jefferson nickel is an important and meaningful detail. This tells us the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not place mint marks on nickels. Philadelphia was the silent workhorse of American coinage, striking massive quantities of coins meant to move constantly through the economy, and this nickel was created with that exact purpose in mind. One of the most captivating aspects of a circulated 1959 nickel is its color. Instead of bright shine, the surface often displays a soft gray tone with subtle darker shading in recessed areas. These colors are the result of decades of handling, exposure to air, and natural friction. No two circulated nickels age in exactly the same way, making each example visually unique. When you turn the coin over, Monticello appears on the reverse, accompanied by the inscription Pluribus Unum. In circulated condition, the steps of Monticello are often worn down, sometimes blending together, yet the structure remains unmistakable. This wear tells a story of purpose, showing that the coin was actively used rather than preserved. The year 1959 itself carries historical weight. It marked the final year of a decade defined by post-war optimism, suburban growth, and cultural stability. Coins from this year circulated during a time when Americans were building homes, raising families, and looking toward the future with confidence. A circulated 1959 Jefferson nickel likely passed through countless hands, moving through grocery stores, gas stations, school cafeterias, and corner shops. Each transaction left behind tiny marks, slowly shaping the coin into the form we see today. These marks are not damage, they are evidence of life. The smooth edge of the nickel adds to its tactile appeal. Years of contact with pockets, purses, and other coins have softened the edge, making it feel warm and familiar in the hand. Holding it creates a physical connection to the past that feels deeply personal. The copper-nickel alloy used to strike the 1959 5-cent coin was chosen for durability. This metal composition allowed the coin to endure heavy circulation while aging gracefully. Over time, the surface developed texture and depth rather than fragility. For beginners in coin collecting, a circulated 1959 Jefferson nickel is an excellent learning piece. It teaches how wear appears on different design elements, how to identify mint origin by absence of a mint mark, and how natural color develops over time. Seasoned collectors also appreciate circulated nickels from this era. Finding an example with balanced wear, smooth surfaces, and pleasing overall appearance can be just as rewarding as acquiring a higher-grade coin. There is an emotional quality attached to coins from the late 1950s. For many people, this period is connected to childhood memories, family stories, and a sense of security. A 1959 nickel can feel like a small time capsule from that world. Despite decades of circulation, the craftsmanship of the coin remains evident. The lettering is still legible, the portrait remains well-proportioned, and Monticello's outline holds its dignity. This speaks to the strength of the original design. Light interacts beautifully with circulated nickels. Under direct light, the coin may appear smooth and uniform, while angled light reveals fine scratches, wear lines, and subtle tonal variations that bring the surface to life. Circulated coins challenge the idea that perfection equals value. The 1959 Jefferson nickel proves that wear can add character, turning a common object into a storyteller filled with visual history. The size and weight of the nickel contribute to its familiar feel. It is modest yet substantial, reflecting its role as a dependable unit of everyday exchange. Within the Jefferson nickel series, the 1959 issue represents continuity during a stable and confident period in American history. The design remained unchanged, offering familiarity in daily transactions. Collectors who focus on circulated coins often describe them as more honest than pristine examples. This nickel carries visible proof that it was needed, used, and relied upon. Natural toning on circulated nickels often appears unevenly, creating subtle contrasts around lettering and design elements. These patterns are shaped by environment and handling, making each coin one of a kind. Even the sound of a nickel, when gently tapped, can spark nostalgia. That soft metallic tone recalls old coin jars, vending machines, and simple purchases. For a YouTube audience, this coin is compelling because it is relatable. Nearly everyone has held a nickel, and that shared experience draws viewers into the story. The true value of the 1959 Jefferson 5-cent coin lies in its journey. It was not meant to be rare or flashy, it was meant to serve, and it did so faithfully. Every smooth patch and scratch on the coin represents purpose. This nickel worked quietly, supporting countless small transactions that shaped daily routines. Holding this coin feels like holding a piece of ordinary history, the kind that rarely appears in textbooks but defines real life. In a world increasingly dominated by digital payments, a circulated 1959 nickel feels especially meaningful. It represents a time when money was tangible and personal. The longer you study the coin, the more details emerge. Its story unfolds slowly, through texture, color, and wear, rewarding patience. It does not demand admiration through shine or rarity. Instead, it earns respect through endurance and authenticity. This coin has lived a real life, moving through real hands and real moments rather than being preserved in isolation.